welcome everyone. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. Folks, very happy to be here with you as always. And my dog just got into the bedroom. Folks, as we're trickling in here, hold on. Sila, come here. As we're trickling in here, folks, let me know what is going on. If you're watching this on a playback, all of the links to different parts of the video are going to be listed in the playback below. If you're watching on a playback on our YouTube channel, which is where most people watch playbacks, I think. Come here. Sila, out. Sila, here. Yes, good girl, good girl. Okay, I gotta shut my dog out of my bedroom, which I forgot to do. 1 second here, folks. We'll be... Whoop! Don't you even. 1 sec here. Oh. There we go. All done. Everything's better now. Very nice, folks. Good morning here. Folks, I don't know if folks can tell, if people can tell, but we have a brand new, oh, hello, Jean. Lovely to see you here. Brand new preamplifier for the microphone. What that means is the thing that makes the microphone translate from a vocal sound into a digital sound is new and much improved. So let me know what folks think. If the sound sounds different, I'm looking for answers in the yes territory, because it was not inexpensive. It was a good investment because I'm going to have it for a long time. But the other one I had for a very long time. But it was not inexpensive. Folks, oh great, Jean's here. Jean, Jean, I already forgot to say what I'm grateful for. So what on earth am I grateful for here? You know who I'm grateful for? I'm coming from Brooklyn. Grateful for Sila and dogs. It sounds good. I'm glad. Does it sound better, or is that just me? I think it actually does sound better. It should have a more richness to the tone is one of the things that it should have. And people have been giving me advice on microphone placement. So exactly, that is exactly what's going on. Folks, very happy to be here with you as always. And we're going to be meditating, hanging out, having a good time here. Julia here from Vienna, Austria, grateful for eyesight. Oof, boy, that is one of my favorite ones. I'm often amazed, deeply amazed at how unbelievably rich our eyesight is as humans. And there's no, as far as I know, biological reason for us to have such a giant range of visual data, but we do, and so it's quite luxurious. Also very grateful for water. I feel like I'm just going to list things I'm grateful for until I'm out of things. Yes, sounds more nuanced. Excellent. I'm grateful for the friendly chat from the deli lady. Lovely. Deli lady sounds like a good time. I'm actually really digging this new microphone setup. We just got a new preamp. It's called the Mix Pre 3. It's not a great name, does not roll off the tongue. But I'm actually realizing suddenly that the company that makes this might also make the synthesizer that I'm really desperate to buy. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. Folks, very excited to be here with you. Okay, let's see. We got folks popping in left and right here. And this screen is so far away that it's hard to read. There we go. We got our dog wandering out of the back because something's missing. Christmas tree finally went out on the 15th of January. Let's see here. Nick says, hello from freezing Karlstad, Sweden. Grateful for radiators. It's funny, radiator and radiating is a word that I often mispronounce, but I use it often in my guided meditation, so I'm constantly trying to get it correct. And I only use it when I say it, so I don't practice before. I'm not sitting in the mirror going radiator, radiating, radiator, radiating, radiator, radiating, which maybe I should. So you're grateful for radiators. It's such a... my mouth just doesn't want to say it. Sounds slightly distorted, overdriven. Oh, it sounds overdriven. Okay, so that actually could be from the from this part. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Sorry guys, this is a check, hello. Okay, so the preamp was good, but I had it too hot on the streaming software, so let me know if that sounds better. That should be exactly where we want it to be. I like that Nick's like, yeah, it sounds overdriven and distorted, but other than that, it's good. it's like it's all messed up and bad, and it hurts my ears, but besides that, I really like it. Coming from Harlem, for grateful for being able to buy things used. Oh my God, listen, the preamp that I bought, don't look it up because new, the cost is crazy, but I got it refurbished from the company. So I got a much better deal, and that's my jam, is refurbished stuff. Nick says, maybe turn the gain slightly down. Yeah, let me know how the this preamplifier, right? This thing that I just got is so good that you could turn the gain all the way up and it basically has this like really good, I think they might even be analog compressors inside of it, so it's like very, very good. And okay, nobody cares about this, no sound people are here, so whatever, I'm still going to say I think this is super cool. It can record in 32-bit, which is like crazy high, and I'm probably never going to use that. But what that means is even if you like scream into the mic, it still has headroom that you can just like shrink it down, so it can't get cut off. So it's a really powerful machine. If I were filming things for movies, if I were a DIY film my own movie person, this would be really cool. Let's see. Denny says, who you are into synthesizers? Are you into modular synths by any chance? It's interesting. I am into modular synths, but you're into. I am into modular synths, but I don't know anything about them. So Denny, maybe you know synths. The synthesizer I'm very, very interested in, that is way too expensive and it's going to take me a long time to save for, is called the Hydra-Synth. It is digital, but it is really, really cool. It is not a modular synth, but it's filled that need for me because it's very, it's like, you should see how it's laid out. It's really incredible. The quality of the sound, except for my ears, are bleeding. Exactly. I'm a pretty big sound guy. Oh, that's so awesome! I didn't know that. Let's talk about sound stuff, because I'm like, this is something I do on the side, and I started making music, which is fun. Still sounds a bit distorted, but at least the volume's lower. Huh. Okay, so it's not from the preamp, because it's actually, is there like a second source? Is it coming through twice? No, it's weird. Okay, well, I won't make any big correction unless you think it sounds worse than usual. And maybe Denny, you're a sound person, so you can tell me if you think there's something going on here, because everything level-wise looks perfect. It's peaking at -12. I'm appropriate distance from the mic. The levels on the system are reading only up to, what is it peaking here at? It's peaking at yellow, so that's on the streaming software, seems fine. So maybe it's only when I get loud and cranky. Okay, so let me know if there's anything I could do to fix the sound, or if there's anything I could do better, or this kind of thing. Folks, I'm really happy to be here with you. Okay, I'm gonna spell it out for you folks. I'm going through some real stuff here. I'm going through some real life stuff. If folks think that meditation teachers don't go through stuff and their lives are just like smooth and easy, you're incorrect. And I'm going through some stuff, big life stuff, and it's intense. And one of the things that I've found is that connecting with people has been so helpful, and so connecting on the stream with you folks is such a relief. It's such a relief. It's, I would say this might sound, maybe this is meaningless or very meaningful, but I think connecting with you guys, come here, little baby, that's okay. Stay, Sela, stay. Good girl. Connecting with you guys is as powerful for me as connecting with my doggo. You gonna say something important, Sela? What are you gonna say? Just say the words. Just say the goddamn words. Okay. The point of it all is, okay, some people are probably tuning in. Okay. Let's see. Unfortunate, not too wily. I am Arced with I'm not too versed with microphones. It's worse than your head moving. It's worse when your head moves from right to left in the picture. Wait. Sorry. It's worse when your head moves from right to left in the picture. Not too well versed. Yeah. Adjust a bit should do. Or something is... Sorry. Where the microphone is. The sound is great when you turn... the sound is great when I turn towards Sela. Okay, so let's try actually just... I'm gonna just lower the volume and see what happens here. Okay, maybe that's better. Then let me know if that's better. If it is, then lovely. If not, then I don't know what to do. I'm a little confused. I thought it was... Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this because it'll get boring for people, but I am excited to be here with you folks, and especially because today we're going to meditate, do some practice. I got really excited about a meditation. Ooh, yeah, there's a meditation that I want to do that's really cool, and hopefully it's interesting to folks. I had a little bit of a meditation breakthrough yesterday related to some of the tough stuff that I'm working through and going through, which I just, at this moment, I sort of don't want to say out loud, so I'm just trying to respect my own like internal drive and need. Tilted a bit to the side. Okay, experiment later. Say, here's a question. Okay, so this is, sometimes I'll actually do it to the side, not directly at my mouth, to get rid of plosives. So let me know if that actually makes a difference. The mic is now sort of at an angle rather than being like straight on. I've heard that you're supposed to be straight on with these microphones. You're supposed to be directly speaking into them, but other people have said that, it's good to go at an angle. So let me know if that's how that works for you, how that sounds going at an angle. Excellent. So folks, the doggy wants to play and wants to say hi. You want to say hi to folks? Folks, so the breakthrough... No, here, Sela. Oh, it kills me when she doesn't do... When I've like trained her a million times to do something and then she's like, you don't have food. Sela, here. Oh, Sela. You gotta listen here. You're a good girl. Look at this little schmoop. Throw her over my shoulder. We're actually thinking about getting a second dog. That is a real possibility that might happen anytime soon. Sela wants to play with the microphone. Okay, all done with the playing with the microphone. Oh, you want to scratch the microphone? Okay, so folks, I want to talk to you about this breakthrough. So you've heard me here talk about old emotion. So emotion that's like somatically held in the body, that's can often be very difficult, can be challenging, overwhelming, this kind of thing. And she wants me to pet. Maybe it's time to turn the doggy cam on. So difficult emotion. And so what I was noticing is that if I look at challenging emotion, it for me at least has this sort of like yearning, like it's old emotion has this like contractive quality, and it feels like it's like trying to pull, like please, it's like yearning to get its need met, to like have its feelings felt, but it's yearning to, I don't know, not like express itself, but it like wants to be felt basically, but it's painful, so the system tends to not feel it, which is not uncommon. So that tends to be the case. So what I was noticing through meditating was that basically, okay, here's the mechanics, and I just want to explain this ahead of time, because if I can't explain it in the meditation itself, that's less than ideal. Basically, I noticed that this thing was like yearning, like it was like, like this, difficult pain. It was an old sadness in the chest, just like, it's so sad. It's like pulling. It's like, come on, please, like just wanting its voice to be heard. And so what I realized though is it hadn't like given up. It wasn't like I'm so sad and there's nothing, but it did have this yearning, like it wanted to be expelled, or it wanted to be expressed, or there's a wanting there. And I realized that sort of reaching out for something, within it sort of held its own need of the thing it wanted, in a sense that the thing it wanted was out of reach. So what I started to do in the practice was say, well, then if there's a distance between this thing and that thing, what is that thing? What is this thing that would actually meet the need? And I know this sounds like I'm just waving my hands in the air and sort of explaining something like maybe too ethereal, but it was in a way this like caretaker part of me that could meet the actual needs, and I just found that part and brought them together, and it was just super duper relieving. So I don't know if that's available for, you know, people who haven't, you know, done the meditations that I have done or whatever, have different backgrounds, but I want to do that today because it was such a relief. It's been such a relief. It's felt so freeing and relieving. So we're going to look at emotion, and what I want to do today is you may have emotion arising. If you don't have emotion arising, then you're just going to hang out with a piece of a system that does not have a lot of emotion arising. So not a problem if there's not emotion arising. 2, you might have emotion arising that is not old, or might be not be too intense, or might not be that kind of old intense emotion that we all know so well from like visiting our parents, or, you know, doing things that are challenging where we get overwhelmed. That might not be coming up, and that's fine. That's not a problem. That's just an indication that we're having a different emotional experience, maybe present moment emotion, not old emotion. That's another possibility. If that's the case, just noticing emotion as it's arising, welcoming it, you know, we can meet whatever that emotion's need is. Usually present moment emotion just needs to be felt, just wants to be felt in the present moment. You might also be having old emotion, noticing that kind of sensation, and we'll describe exactly what that is, but you might be having old emotion and it might be too much, and you might say, I don't really want to do this, it's too much. That's fine too. You can just pull back and pick any other object. But often what I find is once I contact old emotion, it's very insistent, and it's like, I'm here, and it's very hard to escape. So we're going to come back to that. If that's the case, it's actually okay to come back to that. And what we're going to be doing in the practice is basically using our intuition. I'll try to fully back the mic up. Let's just try to, let me see if this is how this is. Okay. It's just further away. So let me know if that actually makes a difference. Beep up, beep up, up is, so what is the case? So we're going to be observing any old emotions, etc., and assuming that we actually can have contact with, and we sort of intuitively know what is on the other side of that thing, what it is reaching for. Because if we can feel it pulling in a direction, like, oh, like a yearning, there is a sense that there is something that it is yearning for. And even it intuitively sort of knows what that thing is, even if it feels like it can't get it. It can't get what? What's the thing it can't get? Oh, okay, it's this thing over here. So we're going to use our intuition to find that thing and see if we can bring it in and have the two meet, cross paths. Let me know if this new mic position is helping or hurting in some way. Okay, excellent. I'm also actually slightly happy that there's even an audio problem, because it means that this new preamp is doing something. It wasn't just a bunch of money for nothing. Okay, folks, I'm excited about this. You know, one of the things I love the most about meditation is feeling relief. Relief is such a relief. And so just like a shallow sculpture, meditation too can be a relief. Okay, the mic seems to be much better right now. Great. Okay. So what that indicates to me actually is that maybe I was running a little hot. Whatever. Okay, so but it's working now, so that's all that matters. Got a little frog. Okay, folks, so find a nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. If you're new here and you haven't been here before and you're a newcomer, new to meditation, tell me right now. Get your goddamn fingers out, smash them on that keyboard. I need to know if you're new, because I will guide a meditation differently for you, and that's important to know. If not, I'm going to assume, and it's going to be maybe a little harder for you, which is okay too, but why? Hey, see, no. Hey. Damn it. Sorry, guys. The dog is eating the I gotta tie the dog up. She's eating we took the Christmas tree out, and there's all these nettles on the ground. Hey, no. And she can't eat those. They can't digest those, so we've got to make sure she doesn't eat them. I'm sorry. I'm going to tether the dog real quick. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Good girl. You can't eat those. think it's one of those things that is, you really hope with a dog that they would be smart enough to not eat things that would definitely hurt them. But that's not the case. We discovered that when she was a little baby and she was eating rocks. And I remember being so like frustrated. I was like, okay, I knew that puppies like eat things, but I didn't know she'd be like so dumb that she would like try to chew rocks till her teeth break. I was like, oh my God. I think I just expected the dog to not be a puppy. Okay, so folks, so we're going to meditate here for 25 minutes. If that sounds crazy to you, I promise it is not. You'll be able to get there. I know not even humans are that smart. Exactly. You'll be able to get there. It'll be no problem. But we're going to encourage you to keep the body entirely still. So no movements, no voluntary movements of any kind unless two things come up. One is you need to move because you can't meditate. It's too distracting. But just make sure that the movement you do is very slow and subtle, and that you choose the movement. You choose to wait maybe 30 seconds or a minute before you actually make the adjustment. So you know you're not doing so unconsciously. Or if you find overwhelm creeping in any way whatsoever, it's okay to stop really early on just so the system knows that it's safe to practice. So when you're ready, finding that nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. And we will begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. One of the central tricks that the mind plays on us is telling us that what's happening in this moment is not terribly important. And the way that we counteract that is by paying close attention to the sensations of this particular moment. So simply noticing the body rising and falling as the breath naturally comes and goes. Recognizing that this is our one and only chance to detect these particular sensations. And physically relaxing the body. So for a moment we'll let the body breathe as it will, just noticing relaxing. So relaxing the head and neck, including the muscles behind the eyes and the back of the throat, relaxing the tongue. Relaxing the neck and shoulders. The arms and hands. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, just letting the body breathe as it will. And noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the lower belly and the tailbone, the hips and the upper legs, the calves, and relaxing the feet. And then physically relaxing the entire body, relaxing it more deeply than we can even feel. And picking some experience in the body that's easy to detect. So this might be the breath, or the sensations of the hands, or anything else that's easy and consistent that we can find again and again. And we're going to tune into these particular sensations in this particular moment. So knowing that these two have never met and will never meet again, these sensations in this moment. And we have a term for this. We're going to call that experience this. In the mind, each time we detect this, we're going to use a mental label, saying the word this in the mind. Remembering that the definition of this is very specific. It never repeats itself. So not letting it become a generic word in the mind. It's a extremely specific word whose definition changes each moment. We're not saying this, 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 this. We're referring very specifically to this. And of course, at times, distraction arises. But this is not a problem. That's because we can give that a definition that will carry us right back to this. Any distraction that arises in the mind, we can simply call it not this. And we also never want to use the term not this generically. Some distraction is not something very specific. It's not what. It's not this. this way, even distraction points us right back to this. It's as though the entire world were guiding the mind over and over back to this. So the game has been set. Our world has been completely included in the meditation. There's nothing outside of our practice. All things we might call distraction are simply not this. And so we're playing a deeply simple game. Staying with this continuously. When we find distraction, labeling it appropriately and letting the words guide us right back to this. Now making a slight shift. Letting go of this and turning to what we've been calling not this. In other words, turning to everything. This soft overall snapshot of our current sense experience. And if at any point we find that we drift away or get lost, we can always return to the practice of this and not this. Or if you follow these instructions, you can make this transition, but always know we can return to the stability of this and not this. So noticing if within the body there's any old emotion that's present. Old emotion tends to be felt deeper in the body, not so much on the surface. It tends to feel somewhat contractive in nature, a little like a Charlie horse or a cramp. And often we've felt emotion in this place in the body for many years. Sometimes our most difficult moments were characterized by intensity in these places. And because of this history, we want to go in very gently. That's why we begin with this overall awareness, this large, spacious capture of our senses. We're not trying to zoom in harshly. If we don't detect emotion, we can simply enjoy emotional peace. If we do detect old emotion, detecting it within this larger field of awareness. And we're going to assume for a moment that whatever old emotion is arising, that its nature, its drive, is that it feels like it is not getting its need met. That is itself the emotion. It's as though the body were tightening or contracting in order to have what it needs, to reach for the care or resources that would help it feel resolved. And typically, old emotion defines itself in this way. Its needs are not being met, and so it's reaching, yearning. And so the practice for now will be to ask the question, what is it reaching for? What set of sensations in the body is it searching for? If we come directly from the emotion, it might not know. The emotion feels something missing. But the awareness often does know. The larger, spacious way of holding our experience can have some intuition. You can find the part of us that is the caring caretaker, the nurturing and loving part of us that can meet this need. And of course, the old emotion may resist, like a small child crying. It feels that the direction of its overwhelm is important, and it must stay with that overwhelm. So letting the caring part of us part that has empathy, the part that knows what to do, letting that part hold, cradle the old emotion. We're not trying to change anything. We're not trying to make the old emotion stop. We're simply introducing the old emotion to the part of us that can meet its need, knowing that it might be cranky, it might not accept this care, and that's okay. And we may find that some other part of us is afraid or is nervous about this process. Knowing that these different drives are simply different parts. So we're mainly trying to check in on the part that we began with. Seeing if this part can be soothed, if it can allow the caring part of us to meet its needs, to hear its voice. If it's helpful, if it feels supportive, we can even have the caring part speak. Have it say words that would be soothing. Using our intuition, or if we'd like, keeping the process in the realm of silent connection. At this moment, that caring part, the words it wants to say are, I hear you. I hear you. But using whatever phrase works. Knowing our intuition has a sense of what would provide care. staying with the practice, staying in stillness. Being sure to not end the meditation until the bell goes silent. Allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting this spaciousness of awareness expand our open, neutral experiencing, letting that encompass the same emotion. Letting the caring part have its space, letting the challenging part have its space. And in this way, letting this transition and this moment be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so what was that experience like? What happened and what do you like now? Excellente. Folks, so diving right in here, using the old digital technology, hit me with what that experience was like, what happened and what you're like now. Yeah. I'm very curious how that worked for folks because there's a lot of caveats. This may work in this way, it might not work in that way. So, very interested and open to hearing your experiences. It's my wrist. There it is. Yeah, what was that like? Hopefully the microphone works itself out, wasn't too explosively loud. I think I'm getting the hang of it. I think I'm getting a sense of where it gets too hot and where it gets too cold, or where it just gets too hot. That's really the only problem. Yeah, so what's going on, folks? What is happening? And P.S. any questions? You got the whole weekend coming up. Life is changing. Life is challenging. Someone's going to remind me that we should have a half-day retreat. A lot of it's the logistical side. It's like it ends up being very hard for me to like manage all the logistics. And, you know, Raquel is like fully in PhD mode, so it's like, you know, it ends up being challenging. So I end up, takes forever. It shouldn't take forever, but it's mainly logistics that are like a pain. The teaching part's easy. You just sit down, have a good time. So what was that experience like? What happened and what on earth are you like now? Let's see here. Excellent. Okay, great. Okay, I'm asking a guest if they want to come on. Okay, excellent, folks. What was that like? What happened and what do you like now? Was it easy, challenging, fun, pain in the ass? What was that like? And yeah, any other questions, challenges, difficulties, interest, opportunities, anything coming up that you'd like to chat about? And if not, that's okay. I do have to take the dog at some point to the vet today, so I'm trying to figure out when that's going to happen. It could happen later, but it could happen now. Okay. Yeah, what was that like? What happened? And what on earth are you like now? Beep up, beep up, up. Okay, great. Hit me with your best report. Excellent, excellent. Beep up, beep up. Okay, folks. Okay, Nick says the following.
Don't remember any details at all after the this, not, which as always is a great tool for stabilizing the mind, so can't really report, just that everything felt very peaceful and calm.
Excellent. Okay, well, peaceful and calm's totally delightful. Hopefully that was helpful. It's also possible that, as we touch more challenging emotion, the system's like, nah, I'm just going to back off and go to sleep. So that's another possibility. Not that that happened, but that can happen. Julia says,
started out with lots of neutral images and negative sounds, which slowly, without any intentions, turned into positive images and neutral sounds. Not sure if my body sensations were related or just physical stuff.
Well, I can tell you, this is my theory. I think your body sensations were 100% related because audio and visual activation in the mind is 100% neutral all the time. It's always neutral. The only thing that tells us that it is not neutral is emotion in the body. So the mind can imagine a million things, but it's the emotion in the body that tells us whether we like it or dislike it. So right now you can think about trying to think of something like that's relatively neutral for most people, like a glass of water, right? It's not that exciting, whatever. And if we just imagine that for a minute, it's like, okay, it's a glass of water. Maybe there's some pull towards it. I can feel an emotional pull as I'm talking about it, especially since I said, it's like, don't think of a pink elephant. It's like, oh, think of this as neutral. So it's a glass of water. And then we think of something that we really like a puppy that's bouncing around and it's cute. And, it's like being really, adorable. The difference between those two is not in the imagery because it's just different, formulations of visual data. It's in the body. So when you say that you heard, neutral images and negative sounds, and then that switched to negative or positive images and neutral sounds, that neutrality is emotional neutrality. Unless you're saying something else. If you're saying something else, fill me in because then I'll have greater clarity. But check in with the body. Take a minute now and you can practice a little bit and see what's happening in the body. Jean has a nice dense report here. Jean says,
that was great, thank you Janusz. I am curious how the British man is going to pronounce your name, ha.
Janusz.
Today for me that was much more physical than cerebral.
Good.
For better or worse, my mind wandered, I had some inconsequential memories pop up. But I become very aware of an achy sensation in my left mid-torso and spine. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel overwhelmed but did move. I did a couple of slow, pre-planned stretches into that tense area. It seemed to help disperse that sensation and I felt a sense of calm.
Great. Yeah, and that's up to you. If you experience those sensations as emotional, we'll just call them emotional. If you don't, then we don't have to. Shinzen is pretty particular. He's like, if it's clearly emotional, then we'll call it emotion. And his definition of emotion is sensations in the body that are experienced as clearly emotional, which if you know what a tautology is, that's a definition that eats its own tail. So it seems to just be a non-functional definition, but it's actually very useful because people get really hung up, is it emotion? Is it not emotion? I can't tell. It's fine. You can guess. If you're wrong, it doesn't really matter that much, but you can say this is emotion, but really we're looking for sensations that the system reads as clearly emotional. So it's fine, and you can ask those sensations, is this emotion? And sometimes it's good to use a process of elimination. You can say, is this an ache or a pain? Is this digestion? Is it circulation? Is it respiration? Is it gravity? Is it tension of holding the body posture? Is this temperature? And if the answer is sort of no, not really, it's something else, even though it is just still a very physical sensation, at some point we call those physical sensations emotions. So hopefully that is mildly helpful, and we'll see how that unfolds. Denny says,
the emotion I was working with was the feeling of being judged. It manifested as a tightness on the left side of my belly.
Okay.
Interesting thing THT happened was the self-judgment I get during meditation manifesting as a periphery feeling instead of a core feeling within the body.
Interesting. Okay. So there's a sense of judgment. Yeah, a lot of the thing is that then this is the question I have for you. Is it a sense of self-judgment or is it a sense of external judgment coming in? And it sounds like you're saying that it is exactly an experience that the judgment feels like it's coming from the outside, pointing inwards, like you're being judged externally. And that's really helpful to know, because the mind is propelling that. The mind is saying it is outside, it is pointed in, versus it is inside, pointed in. So just to notice that sense of a directionality, all of that stuff, that's the mind and the body sort of pushing and pulling in those ways. And you said something else, feeling of being judged, one interesting thing. Oh, on that side. Yeah, and remember that in order for us to feel judged, there has to be another part of us that is judging. So we're now getting into the realm of the multiple self model, or parts where there's, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're alone at home and there's no one judging you there. So if we have a sense that we're judged, or we're that we're not good enough, or like, something like this, it means there's a part of us that's doing that. And so we want to, over time, start noticing those parts as they're coming up. Okay, Julia says a few things here. We'll just go one by one.
Difficult to say now, but I might just have been interpreting my sounds and images. Screaming is negative, cuddling is positive, etc.
Yeah. And remember, though, that, the system can see the visual part of that is just neutral. So if we don't like it, or it's yucky or whatever, look for that in the body, because that's the thing that tells us like or dislike. I think about a video camera. Like, a video camera doesn't care if it's in a room that's pitch black or it's looking at a beautiful vista. It just does not care. It has nothing within it that cares which thing is, coming in data-wise. We care. And I would much rather be seeing a beautiful vista than seeing, a black room with nothing at all if I'm not trying to sleep. So that difference, that like, I like this, I don't like that, that is body. That's the body telling us, yes or no in that certain way. And then the mind categorizes that as like, this is a thing that I like when I'm having a birthday or whatever, just puts it in a category. But ultimately, it's the body telling us the difference. Julia says, I'll try to focus on that interpreting part in the future meditations. Here's what I would suggest. And you say, so by interpreting, I mean like cognitively. Okay, great. Do it now. Do it right now. That's your best bet. Don't forget future meditations. You can either observe whatever images comes up in your mind. That might be the easiest. That might be the easiest. Take a minute now and just do that. Observe like whatever images are arising, even as I'm speaking, because there'll be a sense of the room, sense of different things popping up. And just, if something is registered as, okay, this is negative and this is, positive, etc., check the body, because I'm telling you now, and I always feel bad telling people like, this is how your experience is, because I hate that kind of level of prescriptiveness. And with that, I'm saying I feel pretty certain that images are neutral. I mean, it just makes perfect sense. It's like like, what sound are the sensations of your hand making right now? It's like you can look at them and but it's like the sensations aren't making any sound because they don't exist in that realm of sense data. Body sensations don't make a sound. Sounds make sounds. So the sensations of your hand are crazy, crazy silent. Images don't feel good or bad, or we don't want or not want them in the image space. That happens in the body. So check that out now, see what that happens. We got a little mountain here from Nick. All right, let's check this out. Oh, we have Jean here, says that Jean just did a little investigation. Asked Jean to do a little present moment homework. So sorry about that. That I called it homework.
I think the sensation I was feeling was indeed emotional, but I didn't feel like I needed to give it a particular name, grief, anger, etc. I just wanted to feel it physically.
Great. Yeah, and you don't need to give it a name unless you're curious to know what it might be called in terms of trading it with other people and explaining what's going on to your friends or therapist or whatever. Oh, I never hit stop the recording button. I gotta turn, this thing beeps when it turns the recording on or off, and it's like loud. Okay. So the point is that, yeah, exactly. You don't need to know. If you want to be able to talk about people with it, then definitely. Okay, so we're going to go one by one here with what Nick's saying.
Yeah, maybe the system just went to sleep. Could be, by the way, a question about newer emotion, overwhelm. Mm-hmm. We recently had a tragedy in the family and I'm a bit confused. I should be feeling totally crushed, and sometimes I am, but not for many minutes at a time.
Great. Well, that's normal. That oscillation is like really normal, and we really want to respect the system in both directions. If it doesn't feel upset right now, I respect that. I'm not going to tell you should feel this way. Oh, it does feel upset even though I think I'm supposed to be done. We don't get to choose, and almost universally, it lasts much, much longer than we think that it should, right? So my father passed away, geez, what was it, like 4 years or 5 years ago at this point, and it's, it lasted much less long than I thought it would, and then came back in this really intense way, and then, like, we just don't get to pick, so that's very important. You then say,
oscillating somewhat between that place and some space of absolute okayness, and even some seemingly inappropriate joy of being alive, but that also feels weird and a bit selfish-like. The point of this isn't to make myself not feel negative feelings, right?
Oh, I'm gonna respond to that in 1 second. We just got a new follow from Hunden Hals. Hunden Hals, welcome. I think this is your first time here. So folks, let's see if we can welcome Hunden Hals in the way that we do here. Welcome, Hunden Hals. Great to be here with you. Glad you were able to join us. There's a couple things I want to fix on the new things with welcoming people are coming soon, but welcome, Hunden Hals. Very nice to have you here. So folks, thank you. I see people starting to welcome here. I really appreciate that. We have a tradition here of welcoming folks who are new, folks who just begin to follow us. That's very appreciated, and we're very glad to create meditations that work for you personally. So Nick, I want to respond to what you're saying here, oscillating back and forth. So just know that whatever arises is nature, whatever emotion. So like, we feel bad because we're feeling joy in the middle of like a tragedy that's happening, which I realize, let me zoom out here for a minute. I sort of felt it and said it, but I was listening to what you were saying. Before I say any of this, I want to say I'm so sorry to hear that. Something that's happening in my life is also very hard. I'm sure it's very different, but these tragedies are very real, and I think it's very hard to be respectful of what it means to go through something like this. So I'm very sorry to hear that that's happening, and just know that we're here for you, and we're really appreciative that you're just sharing what's going on. Honestly, that's really powerful for all of us. So with that, I want to also say that emotion can push and pull in any direction. We just want to be respectful. Right now there's joy, and one of the hardest things is actually when there's both. There's like some intense sadness and joy at the same time. The system's like, this is not right. It shouldn't be like this, but it is what it is, and we want to be respectful of whatever that is. You then say,
does it sound like some spiritual bypassing or whatever it's called? But to bypass, or somehow neglect your problems, don't you have to forcibly suppress them somehow?
Sure.
It doesn't feel like any force or suppressing at all. More like the sadness isn't overwhelming the system, but still being there.
Great. And that's exactly it. You just want to respect its intensity. Sometimes we can't handle that intensity. I notice that right now with the challenges that are coming up, sometimes it's like, okay, it's this strong right now, and sometimes I just can't do it. And so I have to then say, okay, I'm going to skillfully distract. I'm going to watch a movie. I've been watching all of the Marvel movies recently, which P.S., I just want to say, the 2017 Spider-Man is such an exquisite, it's such a good movie. It's so well done. It's so well done. I could just talk about it for hours, but I've been watching these movies recently, and I hit that one. I was like, what about that one? I forgot about it. It's like, it's hard to find anywhere because it's not on like all the regular services. And it was such a relief, such a good movie, so satisfying, so well done. I'll talk about it after because I want to make sure to take what you're saying very seriously, and that's my skillful distraction lately. It's too much watching a movie, and I was very satisfied with that. It is like it's like the universal cosmic opposite of Wonder Woman 1984. Okay, so exactly, and then the last thing you're mentioning there.
Also, I don't want to give the impression of being an indifferent, stone-faced psycho who doesn't have feelings, but if I focus on the sadness it quickly goes into overwhelm, so it's like 1, 2, 11, but I feel like it should be like an appropriate D, but still functioning sadness, like 8, but if it's not, can't force it.
Yeah, just let it be what it is. There's times when it's going to come and times when it's going to go. As much as you can, allow whatever's there and feel it, and know that that's okay. I'll tell you, one sign that there's something like terribly wrong I'm being overly emphatic, but one sign that something is way up is like someone sent me this video. You can probably find it as like some like teen girl singer singing a what is it called? What's the name of that band? Moody Blues song. And if someone wants to look it up, it's very impressive. And if you just, I think if you just search girls singing Moody Blues, it's a vertical image. It's like this, pretty teenage girl, and she's sitting, whatever. And I listened to it a bunch of times, and it's like I hate the Moody Blues at like a cellular level, because it's like they're so sad, and so it's like, ugh, and I think the stories I've heard about them as people and all this stuff, it's just like it's the worst. But sometimes listening to music that I find really sad when I'm really sad is actually very fulfilling, which is I never understood that growing up because I didn't want to feel sad. But sometimes that can help me personally. So just whatever you need to do to feel it appropriately, make sure you're talking to a lot of people, you're connecting more than you think you should or that they would ever allow. And you look for people that can hear, like, hey, this is what's going on. And it's usually helpful if they're not necessarily closer to the tragedy than you are. So if, for instance, if, this didn't happen, and God forbid, my sister's, one of her sons or her daughter or something passed away, which I'm just trying to think of something very, very terrible. I'm not going to go to her for support, but I might go to, my cousin or a friend or whatever. So it's like not someone closer to the tragedy, and just talking to them about what's going on and seeing if it's possible for them to just hold whatever's actually happening for me emotionally. And, you just described that right here in this really great thing. There's a lot of emotion. Sometimes you can feel it, sometimes you can't, but that's really powerful just even to share about it. And don't be sorry about word torrent. We're really happy to hear you share about it, especially since there's something really intense going on. It's something powerful for the system to see that when something challenging has happened and we say, hey, something challenging is happening, like people respond, and they sometimes respond differently. They show up a little bit more. And so there's something like heartening about that, I find. So thank you for sharing that. Denny now says,
there seemed to be two separate feelings of judgment. One was a deeply rooted old feeling of being judged, core feeling in the body.
Mm-hmm.
As a separate note, the meditation critic's judgment was the feeling from the periphery.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So just observe those, and over time, you can start to see maybe it's the same part, maybe it's different parts. The part of you that's like, you should be meditating like X, Y, and Z. Like, remember, that's a part. Voice, it has its own needs. It's doing that probably to try to be helpful. The inner part that feels like judgmental, etc., like you said, is probably much older. It's probably related to some part of you felt shame, and then soon thereafter another part felt like if it pushes that shame part down, or rather some part of you felt vulnerable, and then another part came and was like, if I just push this part down and create shame, it will go away. So it's like a part that thinks you need to disavow your vulnerability. And it's a logic of like a 4-year-old. It's like going to make fun of someone or be mean to someone to make them go away. So it's helpful to know that all of the drives of these different parts is very young and often relatively protective. Yeah, I too am sorry to hear that, Nick. Thank you, folks, for the little welcome cloud. Appreciate that for our friend Hundan Howells. Welcome. Nick says,
Thanks for reminding me that there's skillful distractions as well. Don't have to be 100% stoic.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't want to have the idea that we're not like, I'm supposed to just feel the feelings all the time. And it's like, yeah, feel them as much as you can, and then it's okay to be like, this is too much, and recognize, okay, this is a little overwhelm, and then use whatever distraction is the least destructive that we can. So for some people it's like, I gotta smoke a cigarette and that's what I have to do. It's like, well, great, if that's what you need to do, then you just got to do it. But if you can pull it back a little bit and be like, I'm just going to like, I don't know, eat some chips, it's like that's not as bad for you. So great. If you can pull it back to there, just do the least destructive thing. And ideally the absolute least destructive thing is not just feel the emotion, it's talk to someone else. That's the ideal. So as much as we can, asking for support in that way. So that's really, really key. Humans are fundamentally wired to experience and process their emotions with others. That is the ideal. Okay, Julia, I think this is a message for Nick.
I don't know if you want a wordy internet hug, so I'll just put it down here. Merk Goff.
Oh, what a sweet thing. Yeah, big hugs for you. Very appreciated. Best time for internet hugs. It's funny when you're in person, we do these like air hugs. I do this thing where it's like someone's across the room. I'm like, oh, it's so good to see you. And I like close my eyes and do this, and it's like really sweet. It feels like I'm getting an actual hug. Okay, folks. So what else before we hit the bricks here? I have, I think I need to take the dog to the vet, and I think I can do it right now if I run. I don't know if the vet will take me. I got to check and see. Okay, folks, I'm going to do that because the dog has something, I don't even want to describe. It's weird. Basically she has these, like, it looks like she has cuts on her back, but she doesn't. And so, like, they're like scabby things. And like, I washed it off yesterday, and then this morning I pet her, and it was like residue. It was weird. So I'm sure you were all like dying to hear that about the dog's weird, body stuff. So I'm going to hopefully get that fixed up. So folks, it is Friday. Very excited to be here with you, and very excited that in fewer than 48 hours, fewer than 72 hours, we will be right back here to party time. Excellent. Very appreciated, folks. I'm very happy that we've been able to do this, hang out, have a good time, and what? Beep up, beep up. We're coming back Monday, and hopefully real soon. I know people have probably already forgotten. I'm going to do the report for my last psychedelic experience. I just need time to go over my notes and listen to the recordings, and there's hours and hours of recording, so I want to go through that thoroughly. And then what else? A wish. I have a wish for you. Thanks. Talk to you Monday. Very glad you'll be here with us. So I have a wish for you folks in this particular moment, right here, right now, in this new year, strange new day, to open awareness, to take in your overall experience all around you. Notice if there's any part of you that feels like it's in pain or has difficulty. Often introducing our difficulty, our pain, our emotion to awareness. This is something maybe, Nick, this might be helpful in terms of practice, is to open up and let the kind awareness hold the emotion rather than me hold the emotion. Often for me it's too much, or some part it's too much, but the kind awareness can often hold it in a very, very open and spacious way that can be very relieving in a certain way. So introducing the emotion to kind awareness. So noticing that if there's any part of us that needs resourcing, needs support, and as we hear the tunes kick in and the music rock us, lullaby us into our day, just know that that part of us that's yearning, searching for support, it has a sense of what it needs, has a sense of what could meet that need. And to see if we can find that resource, knowing that that resource is within us, and letting the two have contact, letting the two connect. And in that way, bringing this practice into every single little tiny bitty piece of our lives. So folks, as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very, very soon.